Hey there, this is Stacey Mack. Grateful Sunday Gathering, excited to be back with you. Grateful Sunday Gathering, hashtag GSG. And what we do is we have started reading books since January, the month of January. Every other month, we read a book. The books mostly are sort of like self-help type books. And I'm happy that you have joined. My apologies, first of all, to start. This was supposed to be an Instagram live. My schedule got off on today. Something really did come up that I couldn't get away from, so it put me behind schedule. So I still wanted to show up for the GSG community, and so I'm doing this video. Going to post it on Instagram, Reels, and YouTube, and our other social media pages. Want to start. The book that we chose for this time was Black Fortunes, the story of the first 6 African Americans who escaped slavery and became millionaires by Shomari Wills. And so our intentions are we have read or we're reading self-help type books, sort of business focus. Sometimes it can be any type of focus. If you have any recommendations so this is June. Do you have any recommendations for August? Then definitely email us at gratefulbadass7 at the number 7 at gmail.com. Gratefulbadass the number 7 at gmail.com, and I'll put it in the comment sections for this video. We want to continue to learn and grow. Hashtag learning and growing is what GSG is all about. We've done vision board parties. We actually need to do a check-in with the vision board party since we are already halfway through the new year or year. It's not new anymore. And so starting for July 1st, we need to check in at the beginning of July with our vision board and see where we stand, if we need to make any changes, pivot, do this, do that, so that we are intentional about finishing out 2021. Because we're already halfway through. So this is just time waits for no one. So just to jump right in, those are just announcements. One other announcement. I want to get back to journaling with a group. So I think around the beginning of July, I'm going to do this really hard push to get everyone for the month of July, Monday through Friday. A prompt for journaling or something like that. We'll see what it looks like. And I want to hope you will join starting July 1st, hopefully, or the 1st of July, the first Monday in July. And do a hard push to get to journaling more and more every day and make a habit out of it. Feel free to join if you are interested. If not, definitely share with a friend who may be interested in joining our journaling, our push, 30-day journaling push. So we'll see how that goes and what that turns out to be. But just to jump in, Black Fortunes, the story of the first African Americans who escaped slavery and became millionaires. The book focuses on 6 African Americans who amassed incredible wealth during their time. The book focuses on those who are either right out of slavery, doing Reconstruction, between pre-Civil War and post-Civil War time frame, and it's just really phenomenal the way and the manner of which these 6 individuals, the book follows them throughout the book. The author sort of flips back and forth. It's not like one chapter, one person, one chapter, the next person of focus. It kind of flips back and forth over in chronological order, flips back to their lives and what they're doing at this point in time or that point in time. And I'm going to go through the names, but it is phenomenally, it's 4 women and 2 men. So that is so badass in regards to, the sisters. 4 women and 2 men, and we have first Mary Ellen Pleasant, and she amassed her millions during the gold rush of California, the California gold rush. She first started on the East Coast and decided to go out west to see what the gold rush was all about, and amassed her wealth through as a money lender. Isn't that interesting? A money lender to people, mostly people of color, of course, mostly people of color. Not very well. We remember the time frame, pre-Civil War, post, and post-Civil War, doing Reconstruction and thereon. So lending money to other black people in her community when she reached California. And so that's just a brief overview of Mary Ellen Pleasant. You have to, I just want to stop and add that you really should pick up the book. I don't remember all of the small facts about each individual, but I'm going to give you the whole picture on how they amassed their wealth and fortune. Second, we have Robert Reed Church. He amassed wealth. If I'm not mistaken, his father was a slave. And no. The book focuses on the senior. And then it also goes into his son, Robert Reed Church Jr., and thereon. And so it just shows just the legacy of Robert Reed Church. He was the largest landowner in Tennessee. And mainly in Memphis. So I got to do my further research because I'm from Memphis and I know nothing of this gentleman, this millionaire. And so that's just really phenomenal. He ended up purchasing a lot of property near Beale Street in the Midtown and downtown area where Beale Street is located, and opened up sort of like like a juke joint type bar for or speakeasy for blacks, and it's just really phenomenal. And from there, went on to purchase properties, and it's just really phenomenal about the land ownership of Robert Reed Church and really what he was up against as a black man during that time in the South in Memphis. So the third person is Ottawa W. Gurley. He was a educator who really helped start Black Wall Street. You know, we just passed the centennial of the demise and the riots. The race riots of Black Wall Street. We just passed that centennial and celebration. So he was one of the first individuals that helped to start Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's just really phenomenal to hear his story. The author doesn't go into Gurley that much as he does the other individuals, but he gives enough, to whet your palate. Fourthly, we have Annie Malone, and you may have heard of Annie Malone because incorrectly, she is known to be sort of like a competitor of Madam C.J. Walker, but it really was a competitor, and as if she seceded from Madam C.J. Walker or what have you, but it's not the case. She was actually the front runner in developing the first hair care brand in the country, and then amassed her wealth in that industry. So phenomenal. But we have the story told in our history books from small, as young kids. I know me personally. The story tells that Madam C.J. Walker was the first millionaire, but it really is not. She was actually after Annie Malone, who started first working in developing products in the healthcare brand and industry. Next, we have Hannah Elias, and this is interesting because she made her wealth as a mistress of a white New York City millionaire, where he was taken with her and gave her his monies over time, and she stacked up this money and saved it and purchased property in New York City. She had properties in Central Park. I think it was Central Park West on Fifth Avenue, and I hope I'm getting those right. But she had properties in the areas alone as a neighbor of white rich people in the post-Civil War era. And then lastly, the sixth person is, and hold on, Hannah Elias. She also went on to sort of build up Harlem as we know it today, and because she purchased apartment buildings and started to rent them out, kicked out the white people, if I remember the story correctly, kicked out the white tenants, and then thereafter rented only to African American people, starting what we know today as Harlem, USA. Phenomenal. And actually, she purchased these properties, of course, as under a what do you call it? Not under her name, because they wouldn't have not have allowed her to purchase. But she was able to set up this situation where someone purchased it, and it was really in her name. It was really on her behalf, and then she turned it into a black only tenement, starting the neighborhoods of Harlem. Lastly, we get back to Madam C.J. Walker. We do know her as the first black woman millionaire, but that is not true. She's given that title, is cited in the book, only because she was the first African American millionaire to basically flaunt her wealth. She didn't have any qualms about nice cars, her furs, and to be out on the scene presenting herself and spending large amounts of money, presenting herself as a millionaire, where the others did not. They really protected their wealth and their appearance and their brand. They kept it under wraps because, as you can imagine, white people were not were not with this at all, with any, I mean, really, we're talking about pre-Civil War, pre and post Civil War times. They weren't having it at all, with black people amassing wealth and fortune and having these booming businesses as they each either did or they found other ways to make money and just keep making money for them. And I think it was just really phenomenal. I got to go back really for Robert Reed Church and learn more about him. The book gives a lot of facts, but the author himself actually at the beginning states that the records are, and as you can imagine, the time frame that we're speaking of, the records were sketchy. There wasn't a lot of records, so he filled things in as he could, and I think he did a pretty good job. The book is pretty well written. I was looking at Goodreads, and it seems as though there was some, I hope you can't hear that alarm in the background. But anyhow, on Goodreads, I was looking at the reviews for this book. There's some issues about, other readers have cited about editing, a couple of facts that weren't presented as accurate. And so I'm not a historian or a history buff per se, so it didn't really bother me as much. It may have bothered, it may bother you or other people who are historians and really, really factual and true to this and that and the other, which it should be factual, but maybe some things that were missed. But the author does state that some of the facts were a little bit sketchy because of different records that are missing or that just don't exist. But I think he did a phenomenal job. I want to go back, like I said, and start research Robert Reed Church and his story of a landowner in Tennessee. If I remember correctly, his father was a slave and ended up, what's interesting about Church, his family, is that his father, if I remember correctly, his father was his own slave owner, but he never really claimed him. So I think, if I remember correctly, with Robert Reed Church, a lot of his opportunities were sort of provided to him by his slave owner and father. Okay, I hope I got that right. But his father didn't want to be acknowledged, of course, as his father, because Robert Reed Church was a black man. His mom obviously was a black woman. So the father gave different opportunities or presented different opportunities for him, but didn't really want to recognize him as his son. And so with that, Church was able to use that leg up along with his own will and drive to achieve and make something of himself And I thought that was just really a phenomenal story. Same thing with Mary Ellen Pleasant, the lady who amassed during a gold rush and loaned money to our people. And then, of course, Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker's story are both incredibly phenomenal. The facts are sort of cloudy on in present day. I think the movie presents that relationship a little bit. I can't remember the movie Madam C.J. Walker, one that came out a year or two ago. I can't remember how it presents. It seems as though it presented Madam C.J. Walker as, yes, Annie Malone was first in that movie as the front runner, and then came along Madam C.J. Walker. But I think based on what we know in history books, we see the emphasis mainly on Madam C.J. Walker and not so much as Annie Malone, which it kind of should be the other way around. But one thing I want to really dive in with those 6 individuals, and there are 5 points briefly I want to make. Number 1, they overcame the racial barriers. The phenomenal racial barriers right out of slavery, trying to make our way as black people. They were tenacious, they were just resilient, and they were intent, whether or not it was, in most cases of the 6, it seemed to be pretty intent. It seems to be, as in most cases of the 6, either they were really, really intentional about filling some kind of gap in the industry, sort of like healthcare or lending money, but they were just really, they just were good, just like any entrepreneur, I suppose. They were really good at finding what was missing and filling that gap. And you know, finding what was missing, like Mary Ellen Pleasant, realizing that blacks needed a leg up or a loan, a quick loan to get their stuff together. And so she filled that void with the money that she had obtained from the gold rush, right? And so the racial barriers, they just really were able to, going back to point number 1, the racial barriers, they just were able to overcome. And they, as you can imagine, then, as we even see today, they just come up again and again and again, which is why the 5 of them were mostly low-key in their wealth. They weren't flaunting it so much for Madam C.J. Walker, because then they were targets. You know, people were intent through frivolous lawsuits, through all kinds of claims and accusations of how they got their monies or whatnot. It was just phenomenal, but they seemed to have kept just this low-key presence, so, and just put their head down and keep getting the work done. Okay, the second point is that I mentioned it just now, is they supplied the need, and we've heard that with entrepreneurship. Find a need that is missing, there's a gap, and you fill it. And Mary Ellen Pleasant was, blacks could use, black people could use some monies to get started. Just say they had just moved out to California where she was located, and she, you know, loaned them money, of course with interest, and then made it a business of just keep doing that. And that's how she amassed and continued to amass her wealth. So there was a need that she saw. She filled it with the money she had started to accumulate, and she made her money make money for her. Supplied a need. Same thing with Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker. One second. There was a need in regards to healthcare industry. I believe what I read and what we know is that black women, they were either pressing their hair out, or they were using these harsh chemicals, and their hair and scalp was being damaged. So they saw that Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker basically found that to be something that needed to be addressed to help black women and their hair, their appearance, so that they can make money and they could move forward in life. And that's how they came up with their hair care brands, which is phenomenal. Filling that need, seeing a gap and filling that need. And same thing for Robert Reed Church, as far as that sort of speakeasy type of situation, and also land that he rented out, land that he built houses upon and rented out to black people. And number 3, second point, racial barriers was number 1. Number 2, supply the need. Number 3, continuous obstacles. Oh my goodness. So Robert Reed Church, I believe a group of white guys came and they were going to shut him down, and he stood his ground, and I think he did. Of course, was assaulted, but he didn't give up. And I think one or the other, it may have been Mary Ellen Pleasant, sued time and time again. Hannah Elias sued based on the family of the NYC millionaire, meaning she's like swindled him out of his money, and although he gave it to her freely. It's just craziness. So continuous obstacles. Number 4, persistence, because they just never gave up. They just, after obstacle, racial barriers, frivolous lawsuits, they really just kept ongoing, and just no giving up or finding ways to reinvent themselves. And I thought that was pretty phenomenal, especially for this time frame. These are the early entrepreneurs of our Black entrepreneurs of our society and culture, and the persistence was just phenomenal. And these people were right out of slavery, and I think that is just something to hold on to. Number 4, helping others, which is what I realized each one of them were intent, whatever the motives were, is neither here nor there, but they were intent on helping others. There is one, I think it was Mary Ellen Pleasant, who helped with, in regards to the abolition of slavery. So this is pre-Civil War times. She helped with, fund movements in regards to the abolition of slavery. Others, Madam C.J. Walker and Annie Malone, they created a business where they had employees. So just the cycle continued where they were able to allow others to have a livelihood, to take care of their own families as being salespersons for these hair care companies. And it just goes on and on. They were intent on helping others and not just keep the wealth for themselves. And that was pretty obvious in all 6 cases of these individuals. Lastly was their legacy. And unfortunately, the book closes that most, if not all 6, ended up losing their fortunes. And they lost it, not necessarily themselves, but their legacies, their children and their family members did not either. They either went through their wealth, in a very negligent manner. Maybe they was, I read one, I can't remember which one it was, one of the individuals was swindled out of their money and their property, signed it over to someone for little of nothing. Frivolous lawsuits I mentioned, and basically most did not obtain their wealth. But the fact remains that they existed. They are individuals that we can look to today, and we see that they were the origin. They're the origin story of Black entrepreneurship. And we have to take note, and I'm appreciative of this author and focusing on them. We don't hear about them other than Madam C.J. Walker, we don't hear about them in history books. They're not celebrated, and these are phenomenal individuals in their time and space and what they were able to accomplish, what they were able to achieve. And that is Black Fortunes, the story of 6 African Americans who escaped slavery and became millionaires by Shomari Wills. I recommend the book highly, and I think a lot can be learned and imitated from these millionaires in their day, time, and space. Okay, this has been GSG. Stay tuned for our next Learning and Growing book discussion, our book for August. I'm really excited about continuing this series, Grateful Sunday Gathering book discussions. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on next time, and take care and have a beautiful day. All right, happy reading.